Ya Allah! Ya Allah!
Before dawn fully broke over the Strait of Hormuz, the sky carried the last, thin breath of night, a bruise of blue-gray light clinging to the horizon. A brittle mist hovered over the water. The surface shivered in the faint wind. On the water's face, something else was moving, not waves, but a pattern of machines and symbols of power stretching invisible lines across the map. High above, a colossal, metal guardian swept toward the Gulf. Its name, MQ-4C Triton, America's most proud, most capable surveillance aircraft. Sensors glittered beneath its belly like the teeth of a predator, scanning every inch of the Persian Gulf, hunting for signs of movement in Tehran's military dance. It was built to look down. It was built to see everything. And in that fragile hour, the world watched it glide into the sky with a confidence that bordered on arrogance. Then, within minutes, the signal began to stutter. First a whisper of static, then distortion on the radar screens. Data feeds that had been steady for hours trembled and died. On the Pentagon's monitors, red text bloomed like an alarm. Emergency, signal lost. 17 seconds. In less than half a minute, the Triton, a drone that can stay aloft for 24 hours at altitudes measured in tens of thousands of feet, a machine that keeps navies and commanders informed in real time, vanished from U.S. control. At first, American officials hoped for equipment failure, but Tehran's statement, delivered calmly and without boast, changed the narrative. The message was short and precise. You were in our air. We have acted. Open sources and military specialists quickly began to detail what happened next. The drone had not been destroyed, it had been seized. Iran, analysts would later say, used advanced electronic warfare, jamming the signals, blanking the navigation, severing the data link. Controls slipped away from the operators in the United States and fell somewhere else. This was more than a technical coup. It was a strategic statement delivered with surgical clarity. For decades, many in the West assumed Iran lagged behind in the electronic battlefield. That assumption ended in one afternoon over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's success, taking command of a platform that the U.S. treated as sovereign eye and ear, hit at the heart of American intelligence dominance. The message was unmistakable. The sky is not empty, and those who believe it is can be proven wrong in seconds. Why does this matter? Because roughly 30% of the world's traded oil passes through this narrow waterway. Politics here is not a geographic footnote, it is a global fulcrum. Control of this strait means influence over global markets, over shipping routes, over the heartbeat of modern commerce. Washington faced a damaged prestige overnight. The White House and the Pentagon were split between rhetoric and restraint. Public threats were met with operational caution. The strategic calculus was unclear. Was this a probe? A warning? A prelude to greater escalation? For Tehran, the action did not require a barrage of rhetoric. A single demonstration of technical capability was enough. The implication hung in the air like the memory of thunder. Inside Tehran, the operation reinforced a narrative of resilience. Iran's leadership, hardened by years of sanctions and covert pressure, had prepared for moments like these. Success here signaled not only military capability but state continuity. Systems in place, command networks hardened, succession plans ready. In other words, Iran had turned vulnerability into deterrence. For the United States, the loss was more than an aircraft. It was an exposed seam in a global architecture built on technological asymmetry. The Triton's disappearance forced Washington and its allies to grapple with a new reality. Sophisticated countermeasures exist beyond the realm of conventional arms. Electronic dominance is a battlefield, and it can be lost in a span of seconds. As this story unfolded, markets shivered. Strategists recalculated risks. And for those watching from the windows of policy rooms and command centers, the question was the same. Who ultimately controls the space above the Strait of Hormuz, and what are they prepared to do with that power? The disappearance of the MQ-4C Triton is not an isolated incident, but a chapter in a longer, subtler contest. A struggle over information, over signal and noise, over who gets to know and who does not. It is the kind of event that reorders assumptions and forces nations to adapt. Tonight, the Strait remains a narrow pulse point. Beneath the calm surface, networks and weapons and politics continue to churn. The sky that looked empty is not. Someone else has shown they can reach up and change what it means to be seen. If you know someone who still thinks modern warfare is only about steel and numbers, tell them to watch the next 24 hours. Because in this kind of fight, seconds become history. Thank you for watching. If you value this kind of in-depth investigative reporting, consider subscribing and hit the bell so you don't miss our next report.